Today we're going to be doing a full review on the Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimate. I've got 4 of them. I've had them for 3 years. I'm going to let you know what's good about them, what's bad about them, what you might want to change as soon as you purchase one out of the box. I'm Alan Williams of Alan Williams Backyard RC. This is where we jump them, we bash them, we race them, we break them, we repair them. Then we do the reviews on them. Go ahead and subscribe now if you want. And as usual, there'll be some links in the description box below for the items mentioned in the video. Okay, at first we're going to show you guys some short clips on how we use our Traxxas Slash 4x4 so you know where we get our experience from for these reviews. Second, we'll go over the vehicle. I'll show you the strengths and weaknesses. And it's just based on our experiences and how we've ran them and how we've abused them. And at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a small recommendation of parts to keep in your kit. I'm going to suggest maybe some upgrades that we believe you should do when you first get the vehicle. And as always, please leave comments down below. Let me know what your experiences are with the Traxxas Slash, if you have different experiences than I do. But for right now, let's get to the clips.
Bring down, Joshua!
Alright, this is one of my Traxxas Slash 4x4 Ultimates. I've modified this one a little bit. And I'll show you guys that in a minute. But when you first get these out of the box, I want to keep in mind there's a couple things I'm going to ask you to do. And I'll explain why. These tires, these are not stock tires. But the stock tires will actually rub up in here under the fender wells. The Nerf bar will actually rub right here. And the rear tires will actually rub up inside of here. It'll either wear holes in your body or it'll wear the paint off and it just doesn't look that good. We'll flip the body upside down. Some people have, and I did it on this one for demonstration, we'll put tape here and here to keep the paint from rubbing off, keep the body from looking nice. I don't use this body that often. It's still got the audio speakers on it. It's the only one that I have. Grandkids love that audio, onboard audio system. So I don't find that too effective. So what I did was I just simply took these body posts, put a nut right in here, took this screw out, put a nut right in here. I raised the body post up just enough. I did the same thing on the back. You can see right here where I just added a nut in there. Put longer screws in there, added a nut in here that raised the body post up a little bit, and that keeps that body from rubbing. Saves the body. It didn't cost nothing. It just took a couple minutes to take the screws out. I just happened to have some nuts. Anything that'll work as a spacer will work, but I just happened to have some nuts in my garage that work just perfectly. They do have a kit you can buy, a body lift kit that you can actually do it, but it's the same thing. They just add spacers right here and raises that up a little bit. But, you know, that's just a way you can fix that, save your body, and not have to spend any money. The other thing I want you to do when you take this out of the box is on the left rear A-arm, this screw right here, from the motion of it going up and down, if I can do this with one arm, just that motion right there will cause that screw to back out ever so slightly. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So all you want to do is just pull that screw out, put one drop of super glue on it, and screw it back in until it's tight. You don't want to over tighten it. This is all plastic, but that super glue will keep that screw from backing out. Every once in a while, you just pull it back out, put another drop of super glue on it. But it happens on all of my vehicles. All the time I'll notice it backing out, and that's a simple solution for that. If you just pull it out now, put some super glue on it, just a drop. That way you can take that screw back out. You know, I mean, you might have to replace the A-arm or work on it, so you don't want to super glue it in there permanently. So we'll come back up here, and you'll notice on this one, you don't have to do this. This is just something that I chose to do. On one of my vehicles, I actually bent this drive shaft. I don't know how it bent. I know the chassis flexed, but I don't know how bad I wrecked it to cause that to bend. I just noticed that my drive shaft was bent. So I went ahead and purchased this, which I have to remove the onboard audio system, which is the only downside of doing this brace. And you just screw it in here and screw it in here. And there'll be a link below for that brace. If you guys want to purchase one, you don't have to. But just keep in mind that if you have a bad accident or something happens that causes this chassis to flex, you will bend the drive shaft. And of course, once you bend the drive shaft, then you got to worry about bearings going out and stuff like that. So for me, it was just a lot easier just to add the body brace to it, or the chassis brace to it. Another thing about Traxxas vehicles is the batteries in them. You can see I've switched the connector over. If you don't know how to solder, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Learn how to solder first, because once you cut these off and you start soldering, if you goof it up, you get the wires too short, then you got to replace the ESC. And spin this around, and you got to replace this ESC right here, and that gets quite expensive. A cheaper alternative is, if you don't want to buy Traxxas batteries, which I choose not to. There's nothing wrong with Traxxas batteries, but you can buy whatever connector type you decide to use. You can buy an adapter that goes from Dean's connectors, in this case, to the Traxxas. It's a cheaper alternative, especially if you don't know how to solder. And you can use that. That way you don't have to use Traxxas batteries if you don't want to. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is when you order batteries is that you need to know the physical size of your batteries, because there is a limit on the Traxxas Slash. So this is the battery hold down that comes with it. Slides in like such and such. 25 millimeters on that side. I paint it white so I can easily identify it. This over here is a 23 millimeter side. Put that in there. It's for 23 millimeter thick batteries. You can also buy a kit that will allow you to put batteries in there up to 29 millimeters tall. And that is part number 7426X. And that allows you to use thicker batteries. So you don't have to do that right off the bat. Just keep in mind that when you order batteries, regardless if you order them from Traxxas or not, you need to know the width, the length, and the tallness of your battery, and make sure that it fits in your battery compartment. And the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is the bodies on them. They do crack easily. This one here, it's been abused. I admit that. I jump in my bathroom. You guys seen the clips. But they do tend to crack and break. From when you're racing them or just driving them around, they will crack and break. They're kind of expensive. This one here, I believe I got from Traxxas for $30 plus shipping and handling. I use that for when I do videos for jumping, bashing, stuff like that. I don't have to worry about it damaging it any. If somebody knows a good fix how to keep the bodies from cracking, please let me know. Leave a comment. I'd be happy to try it out. Give it a good solid review. If I find a fix for it, trust me, I'll be the first one to let everybody know. Another one of these about these vehicles is with these 10 scale vehicles and the size of the tires, they don't go through tall grass real well. By tall grass, I mean if you have a backyard, it's shady, nice, lush, and you like keeping your grass nice and tall. These 10 scale vehicles do struggle going through that a little bit, and it's just basically because of the size of the tires. It puts a heavier load on the motor, drains the battery down faster, makes the motor get hot. Keep an eye on that if you do have to drive it in your yard. Keep an eye out for the motor getting hot. Not really a big issue. Shorten the gear ratio up as much as you can. The other thing you can do is, if you can get permission from mom and dad or do it yourself, is just set your lawnmower on the lowest setting, plot you out a race course in your yard, and just mow the grass real short. I did that the first year I had these vehicles when I was trying to decide how I wanted my RC track to be in my backyard. I just mowed the grass. If I didn't like that track, I just let it grow back up. No big deal. Didn't hurt nothing. And I mowed a different route. And once I was satisfied with that, and I liked the way it drove, then I made my dirt track in my backyard. So that's an option for you. If mowing your grass real short isn't an option, these vehicles are great on asphalt. They're great on tennis courts, basketball courts, gravel driveways, gravel parking lots. They do all right, like on a volleyball court. They do okay in packed sand. They do okay in a lot of places. Baseball diamond's a good place. You can go out there and set you up a course, a little race course with a baseball diamond, make you some homemade ramps. I mean, there's all kinds of places you can race these things. So don't let that discourage you too much. Just keep in mind that if you have a yard and you got a lot of tall grass, lush tall grass, you're probably going to have to try to find some place where you can drive them other than your yard. Good thing about these vehicles is the parts are readily available. They're really popular. So you can get parts you can order them directly from Traxxas. You can get them at your local hobby stop. You can always order them online, eBay, other online hobby shops. Easy to get parts for. They're not too expensive unless you got to replace a motor or an ESC, but parts are really easy to get a hold of. Upgrades are a good thing for these things. They're really popular. You can get upgrades. You can get different tires for them, not just from Traxxas, but you can get them from other manufacturers. You can get bigger tires. You can get different motors for them. You can get all kinds of aluminum parts for them. The upgrades on these things are pretty much, I don't want to say limitless, but there are quite a few of them out there. The other thing about these vehicles that I like, and it's the reason I have 4 of them, is that they're extremely durable. I don't want to say it's impossible to break them, but when you're racing or jumping, they don't break that often. I mean, you have to. The main problem I ever have with them is if I break an A-arm, and a lot of times that's just because you're driving it and you hit something with that front tire straight back, and it just snaps that A-arm. But just normal driving, bashing or whatever, it very seldom do one of these break, at least with my experience. And that's the reason I have them. We have all kinds of people with varying degrees of experience that come up here. So that's why I've got 4 of these. This is what I use when I have beginners come up. I mean, these things are great for beginners. You can adjust the speed on them. You can put a 2S battery in them. You can put a 3S battery in them. You can put them in training mode. You can get the app with the Bluetooth controller, and it's got a throttle adjustment, and you can control the throttle all the way down to 0. So if you have somebody that's 4 or 5 years old, you can turn that all the way down to 30, 40% while they're learning how to drive them. The speed control, to be able to adjust the speed control on these things are great. You can change pinion gears, you can change spur gears. There's all kinds of things you can do depending on where you drive it at to get a whole bunch of speed out of these things. On the box, I think it says it goes up to 60 or 70 miles an hour. That's going to be on, straight runs on asphalt, not in your backyard driving it, doing a lot of start and stopping, but they do go that fast if you max them out. So these vehicles are awesome for beginners. Like I said, they're durable. You can adjust the speed on them. A 6-year-old can drive them. And then you can turn around and have somebody that's 30 years old. They can have just as much fun with it as a 6-year-old does. And all you do is just put it in training mode, slow it down for the 6-year-old, take it out of training mode, and the adults can play with it if you got more experience. So, yeah, all in all, man, these vehicles are great. They're great for beginners. They're great for intermediate. They're just tons of fun. You can't go wrong with these. In my opinion, they don't break that often. I'm going to give you guys a short list of parts that I suggest that you have on stock, and that's going to be these. The only part that you really want to have in stock, maybe you don't have to buy them right off the bat, is these A-arms right here. That way, when you do hit something, you've got a spare set. You don't have to buy it outright, but it's going to be something that you're going to want to keep in your kit. I suggest that you take the audio system off if you choose to, and put one of these chassis braces on it. This one here is from RC Hobby. I think it was 26 bucks. I'll put a link below for that. It's going to be something you want to consider. That'll keep you from bending a drive shaft and bearings going out and having trouble that way. Another thing you might want to consider, depending on how many vehicles and what size batteries, is this Traxxas battery clip for the tall batteries. 7426X is the part number. And if you want to, you can buy the body lift kit. When I say body lift kit, that lifts these up, these body posts up, so it don't rub the tires. But again, a couple of nuts or a stack of washers or something that works with spacer would be just fine. I would highly recommend that. All right, don't forget to check out my video on the Traxxas e-Revo. There's a link below. And if you like these videos, please hit the like button.